Hello there, only one Kenobi here, only one. I just thought I'd do a quick review of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3, or you could call it Chapter, what is it now, 11? It was 9, 10, and now it is 11, yeah. The Heiress, really good. So, sorry I haven't done an upload for a while. I'm going to get back on that this weekend. I want to do this very quickly now, so I can get on with some other things for the channel. So, but firstly, I would like to dedicate this review to Pauline Higgins. Thanks for hello there, Pauline. Welcome. This is the way. In this episode, he says, the only way is the way of the Mandalore. The only one. I'm sure he says only one because I was going to parody it on here. What does he say now? The only one way. Oh, who cares? Whatever. So, the first thing that happens in the episode is a flashback. Now, what I like about these new flashbacks this season is season series, we call it series in the UK, but season now over there in the USA. Season 2, a.k.a. Series 2. What I like is that the flashbacks are more than just what happened in the last episode. Remember last week they gave you a flashback of Zero, and I was immediately like, why are we seeing him? In fact, as I said in my last review, I actually thought I was on the wrong video. I thought I clicked on the episode 6 of series 1. But what it is you get a flashback of the line from the armourer when she says, have you ever removed your helmet? No. Has anyone ever removed it for you? No. This is the way. There's a reason for seeing that flashback later in the episode. The other bit of the flashback you see is all that happened in the last episode, which was a crazy episode with the spiders and all that. So the episode kicks in. It was a brilliant episode, by the way. I don't know if I said that. You get a flash. There's a proximity alert that's going on in the cabin. So the same kind of proximity alert that looks like we're coming up on Alderaan. That proximity alert. So I love that. There's other sound effects they use in this episode, which are brilliant, subtle links to the original trilogy. And then they're coming along to this planet. It's the same as the opening shot of the trailer when it's just like chugging along. You kind of see the horizon of the planet, and it's Trask. I think I've got the name of the planet right. When I was actually watching this episode, because I wasn't paying attention last week, I thought we were on Mon Calamari, because you see the first thing you see is they have a bit of a horrendous landing to start with. And he says, hold on, it's going to be a tough landing. They're going to have to drop in. They don't have enough power or whatever for thrusters until the last minute. So it's pretty much like an Earth re-entry, when you go in the speed of a bullet, and then you need re-entry, the re-entry corridor and the friction against the air, and of course, what do they call the heat panels or whatever that they have on the Apollo missions and stuff like that. So you basically see the Razor Crest glowing red, and it's a bit like reminiscent of when they're coming in too hot on Revenge of the Sith, and they're on that whale-shaped ship of Grievous's. But they survive. But it's quite funny that when they get to the landing platform, last minute they put the thrusters on, they land, and then he tips in the water, and you think, oh my god, the ship, is it going to die? Someone in my comments said, I think he's going to ditch the Razor Crest and get another ship. I sincerely hope not, because I love that ship. I don't want them to just get rid of it, because it's a brilliant ship. It's like getting rid of this thing, you know what I mean? So that's the first thing that happens. Then you see a Mon Calamari standing on the platform, and he's sort of like, he's the supervisor, a bit like the lady was in Mos Eisley. He gets them out with a crane. Oh, that's the first sound you hear. The sound of the crane thing is the same sound as the AT-AT just before it takes the penultimate step before crushing Dak Ralta in the snowspeeder. It's like this. Excuse me. And the next step is, and then Luke jumps out. That's the sound you hear on the platform. It's brilliant. So it looks like an AT-AT, but it's not. An old train armored transport. Hey, but it's not. It's just a crane thing. Similar tech, I suppose. They pull the ship out. They're on this brilliant new environment. It's screams of centuries-old ports on Earth. Loads of Mon Calamari, loads of the Quarren wandering around. So I complacently thought we were on Mon Cala, or whatever they call the planet, but it wasn't. It was Trask. Not Task, Trask. An ocean world, and obviously if it's an ocean world, lots of ocean creatures. I wonder if they'd ever find any Gungans there, because the frog creature from the previous episode wanted to obviously be there. It's a good environment for their child. That's why they were trying to get back there anyway. Oh, I've made some notes here, but I'm already waffling on. Let's see. Basically, the Mando goes to a cantina, don't they always go to somewhere local? You know, it was kind of like more of a restaurant actually, because the guy said, you know, you can't come here, or you've got to order something to eat, because he says, you know, just a bowl of chowder for my friend here. That's my Mando impression. And he says, you know, you've got to order. He goes, well, I want to buy information. And he gets out the Mon Calamari. If you remember in the last season, those little kind of, they look like hockey pucks. They were Mon Calamari Denari. They were like, you know, a currency from the Mon Cala. So he passes them on to him, and he says he wants to find out more of his kind. He goes off, he speaks to the waiter guy, the Mon Calamari dude, goes off and speaks to a guy from the Quarren. They always look so much more sinister, the Quarren. I believe they were in league with the Separatists, you know, if the Separatists were bad guys, you know, the bloodlines of bad and good. They're all mixing together in this. So obviously they're all at peace and they can live with each other. But anyway, he says that he will get the Mandalorian to more of his kind. He says it's only a short 2-hour sail. And he said, but it'll cost you. So then we cut to the ship. It was great to see that, an ocean kind of little yacht, well not a yacht, but a kind of a vessel journey on ocean. And a long story short, the Quarren guy says, have you ever seen, I've forgotten the name of the species, they're obviously on board, they have this kind of like, again, one of these kind of Raftari type creatures, this lots of big monsters you're seeing in this season. And he's inside the kind of like onboard container, water container. And he says, bring the kid as well. He's bring the child to come and have a look as well. You know, it's obviously a unique experience. He chucks in some fish. This huge thing comes up to get it, but at the last minute, the Quarren guy knocks the egg, the pram, the child, right in, so it's hovering in front of this crazy tentacle creature. You see the egg close, obviously somebody, either the child or Mando closed that. He gets swallowed by this creature. The first thing the Mando does is he dives in to save him, which is just the selflessness of this guy and his affiliation with this child. They closed this gate across the top of the water. It's a bit like kind of James Bondy type thing, you know. The sound of the gate, I watched it twice this episode. You hear, it's exactly the same sound as Jabba's palace gates. I can't do that impression, but you know what I mean? When the gates are opening, you know, when Luke goes in and when 3PO and R2 go through the palace, the main Brinky, after, you know, that bit of Return of the Jedi. So that was a subtle little nice nuances, brilliant. Oh, again, and the pace of this episode was fantastic. I love it. New world, sit back, enjoy it. Fantastic. So the Mando's caught underwater. He's got enough breathing space. We don't know what's happened to the child. He's inside the belly of this creature. And then, out of nowhere, you see more Mandalorians coming on the scene. And I thought, for the split second, I thought, oh, this is Sabine Wren or somebody. But no. Turns out, it was Bo-Katan. And it was a brilliant likeness. Obviously, this actress, I forgot the name. I do apologise, I should have written that down here. The actress who played her was just total likeness to what we've seen in the Clone Wars. They have a little conversation. They get rid of all the Quarren or whatever. She rescues Mando. And they have a conversation. There's this moment when they all take their helmets off. And, you know, Mando stops. And then the first thing he says to them is, where'd you get that armour? Like, he thinks they're imposters. And then they say, well, hang on a minute. You know, we are Mandalorians, you know. And they see him for what he is. You know, if you're one of these types who doesn't want to remove the helmet, you are a child of the Watch. And it turns out, and there's been this kind of what's the word there? Ambiguity about who is who and what's a Mandalorian. Throw into the mix what you've seen in the Clone Wars, what you're learning on the Mandalorian in season 1 and now this season 2, and also throw into the hat this talk of Boba Fett being a total imposter, not even born of Mandalore, and also he's not even of the Creed Mandalorian, like the same as our master, but certainly Jango Fett, he takes his helmet off, doesn't he? But whatever. But it turns out that he is like they are, or our Mandalorian Din Djarin is of a cult, that a fringe group that have broken away and from Mandalore to establish, I've just written some notes here, the ancient way of Mandalore, I guess. So that's interesting, isn't it? But they still see each other as one and the same kind. She even says to me, you know, this is the way. I don't know if that's just out of respect or she's just, you know, subtly kind of saying, oh, I can say your little phrase, I know what you say kind of thing. But anyway, Bo-Katan is in it. It's fantastic. That's what he says at the beginning. He says, there's only one way, the way of the Mandalore. So he does say only one. Later on, he says there's only one way, the way of Mandalore. He grabs the child and he flies away from them. So then that's them done. Back at port, it's nighttime. There is another ambush on Mando. It's more Quarren. He says, you killed my brother. Which is interesting, actually, because if you think about it, on the very first scene of the season 1, he kills a Quarren there. Maybe that was his brother. I don't know. Who knows? But we presume it's the ones on the ship, because later on he gets rescued again by Bo-Katan and her 2 cronies. And she says, he didn't kill your brother. I did. Blasts them, gets rid of them. It's brilliant. Then they says, they say to him, so we go for a drink. So they go back to that tavern place and they have a little drink and a talk. Then you learn a little bit more about where we are. So she says Trask, that ocean planet, is a black market port. And then basically they are seizing weapons and they want to take a hold of them back to get hold of their home world, I presume Mandalore. There's also, later on, they take him to see an Imperial Freighter because they're now trying to say to him, we will show you where the Jedi are if... Oh my god, my camera's about to stop filming. Uh-oh. Hi, welcome back. I think we were up to talking about the Imperial Freighter that's the other end of the kind of jetty thing in the distance. It looks quite nice on the horizon there. Some great shots in this, Brilliant music. There was a great shot of them all... I'm going backwards again now, just after they rescue Mando from that ship. You see the 3 Mandalorian dudes blow up that ship and fly off it, and it looks great. Really well shot, amazing. Forgotten the name of the director. I'm really sorry. Bad research again. She's the girl. I can't remember her name. I'll flash it up maybe if I remember. Bo Bryce. Bo Bryce. I can't remember. Sorry. So basically, they're going to do a little job on this Imperial Freighter to get the weapons off there. It's nice to see the Empire still looks strong here, because in season 1 you saw the remnant stormtroopers, which obviously showed there was some remnant of the Empire, but by the end of season 1 you saw actually, the Empire is still there as an entity. A bit like what you imagined in The Force Awakens the First Order to be. In that whole sequel trilogy, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent, I wanted the First Order to be fringe, and then suddenly they're like massive, or maybe they were massive from the start. We'll soon find out. All this is laying down new lore and canon or whatever for the timeline of things, but what I'm trying to say is the stormtroopers are looking clean, and the freighter inside was fantastic. Even the lift had those, I don't know, were they octagonal or hexagonal, the emblems when the lift, I can't describe, you know what I mean, the lights, the levels of the lift or whatever, you can see them ticking along, just Death Star-esque. So what they do is they're, like pirates, they wait for the ship to take off. They fly on their jetpacks, they land on, they get rid of a couple of stormtroopers outside. They're no match for these guys. They're seasoned fighters, stormtroopers have always been weak when in the face of opposition like that, Jedi included. And they're fighting their way into the cockpit area, of which there was an actor who played the man in charge, the general, whoever he is, commander, captain, whoever. Actually somebody might know by his insignia what rank he is, but anyway, he's in there and he was brilliant. He was a little bit of a cross between director Krennic and, he just played that cold Imperial officer to a T. It was brilliant. You could see the 2 guys who were piloting in front of him wearing black uniform were bricking it, They know they're in trouble. They get as far as basically the door of the cockpit, and then they get in touch with Moff Gideon. The Imperials contact Moff Gideon and they say, they're all over us, what we need backup right now. He says, can we have backup? And then they said, well, if they've got that far and they've breached the cargo hold, there's nothing more you can do, or you know what you have to do. And he says, yes. And then Moff Gideon coldly looks at him and says, long live the Empire. And then he says back to him, long live the Empire. Blaster shoots the 2 pilot guys in the back. The commander guy assumes the controls and he changes altitude and he's now plunging the vessel towards Earth, suicide to blow it up, Which is amazing, really, isn't it? They'll do anything just for the Emperor's gone, but still they're still fanatics, are they not? Following the cause of the Empire, suicide mission. So that's what happens, they break into the cockpit after that, they pull him off the controls, they stabilise the ship, they narrowly miss hitting the ground. And then, I think it's Bo-Katan, she's got a helmet on, she says, we'll let you live, but you need to tell me where Moff Gideon is, because he has something she said earlier actually, he's got something I own. And it's the dark saber. She says the dark saber, because he says, what do you mean? And she says the dark saber, of which he says, you might let me live, but he, referring to Moff Gideon, won't. And I didn't quite realise when I first saw it what happened to him. He just suddenly went and died. But if you watch, he bites down on his teeth, like a SS officer cyanide thing, and kills himself. So obviously he's got something implanted in his teeth. Or something. I thought Moff Gideon was listening in, and it's just like almost like he had something implanted on him, and then Moff Gideon can say yay or nay if you live in, kind of thing. But anyway, so then he died. Off they went back to the port. Mando meets up with the child again. The child was being looked after by the frog creature in this whole time, and of which a few of the eggs have hatched. And there's even a bit at the very end when the little the child is looking at the frog, and you think something's going to happen here. Is he going to eat the frog? And they're going to say no. See, that was quite sweet to see the two frog creatures, in love or whatever, looking over the young or whatever. Very nice. And then the very last scene that happens is they go back to the port where the Razor Crest is docked or parked, and it looks even more a mess than it was at the beginning. He says, I think I gave you 1,000 credits for this. And basically, it just looks like he's covered it in like he's turned it into a seafood restaurant or something. There's like kind of nets all over it and stuff, and there's even living creatures in there. Another one of those squelchy things. Maybe it's the offspring of that weird thing that was on the ship. I don't know. That's what I was going to say to you. When they were in the restaurant at the very beginning, I said last time there was these subtle nods to Alien. Well, when they served the chowder, in the chowder is this living kind of octopus thing, and it jumps on the child's face just like a xenomorph's face hugger. So anyway, so there's another kind of something like that later on as well. I presume it's either the same one of them, I guess, or a baby of the massive thing that was on the ship. But Mando grabs it at the last minute, kills it, and then the child eats it. He'll eat anything. So then the funniest line is when Mando says, Mon Calamari. Unbelievable, just so like, oh my god, what have you done to my ship? It's really joggly. He says, strap yourselves in, I finally know where I'm taking you. And then off they fly. So I just can't wait to see the next part. Where are we going next? Well, we know where we're going next. We're looking for Ahsoka Tano now, because she told him where to find her, and so that's the next step. This is going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. Fantastic. So that is my thoughts on the review. It's just been a little bit uncut, this, although I will have to do a few edits there. I don't really have time to put images up like I have been last few weeks. I do put occasional images to back up what I'm saying, but I've got so many other videos to do today. I just thought I'd do this straight to camera just to talk about it and babble on. So if you've stayed with me the whole time, thank you very much for watching. I have been Only One Kenobi, only one. If you would like to subscribe, please do if you are new around here. And also if you are a subscriber, and could you just check that you have the bell tapped, because you might have... I keep hearing YouTubers saying, the notification bell isn't tapped, and people have been unsubscribed from channels and stuff. The truth is that even on Bosk's Bounty, I subscribed to him, but the bell wasn't tapped for him, I noticed recently. So I've re-tapped that, so you will not see notifications without that tapped. So thank you for watching. I have been Only One Kenobi. Only one.